Hello, and welcome to Character Bites, a new miniseries where I will cover minor characters that may not be able to carry an entire analysis on their own, but still deserve love. The goal of these videos will be to give you an understanding and some thoughts regarding the roles and functionalities even the smallest actors play in the larger picture. On today's plate, we have someone who made a gargantuan debut only to shrink into the background, but who nonetheless remains important in her own small but big way. Let's talk about Mount Lady from My Hero Academia. Yu Takayama is among the first characters we ever see in the show, making her debut in Chapter 1 as she showcases some of the more outlandish aspects of the Hero Aka world immediately. Her quirk allows her to grow to a humongous size, making her a giant. She can, however, not regulate to any size in between. It's either her normal size or her giant size. In her first appearance, she is shown stealing the spotlight from fellow hero Kamui Woods and using her sex appeal to her advantage. She then periodically shows up in the major arcs of the series as a supporting hero to help out in the fighting. And this is pretty much all that we are ever given explicitly. Yu basically never gets the sole spotlight and only appears tangentially, a true minor character. However, she is also an example of a C-list character being used to enhance the overall series through narrative and thematic functionality. Her debut is not just an introduction to quirks and the hero world, but also a sneaky and insanely early setup for many of the problems the world will face later on. While at face value, her upstaging Kamui is just a cute and fun intro to the series, and kinda funny, it establishes Mount Lady as the face of this modern hero society, an opportunist celebrity rather than an altruistic savior. Remember, the victims and the actual incident itself seem to matter extremely little to her. She is here to make sure her ass is in frame. This, and the fact that it isn't questioned or challenged by anyone that this hero is just here to look good, characterizes the hero society of MHA as much less pure than we might have otherwise thought. Heroism in stories is often associated with altruism, but in this world, heroism is just a job like any other, and so is privy to all the characteristics of one. And that includes all the negatives of a public job like this. And while this idea would be further developed within the plot of Hero Aka as we went forwards, it all started, funnily enough, with Mount Lady. However, it does not end there. While Mount Lady never gets quite this much spotlight ever again, every time she turns up, the story makes sure to give her something interesting to do, say, or otherwise contribute. Her appearances for the first 80-ish chapters of the series reinforce how she's portrayed in the first chapter: unheroic, financially motivated, vain, and even somewhat lazy. However, something changes right around the time of the Camino battle. While she does enter the arc with the same snotty disinterest she had shown thus far, she uses a new super move called Titan Cliff to intercept the villains from following the kids with her face. It's a super quick moment, super easy to miss, but think about what happens here. This fame and glamour obsessed starlet, who uses her good looks as a vehicle for success, willingly has an attack crash into her face to protect others, risking her pretty face. Titan Cliff as a move is by itself really atypical for her. Why would someone so vain allow her pretty face to be uglied up by damage? This coming shortly after her near-death experience at the hands of All For One implies that this event had somewhat of a traumatic impact on her, a sort of wake-up call for her and her purpose. It's not a coincidence she wakes up from this and immediately almost sacrifices herself. This implication is made fact when, after this point, she very visibly changes. The next time we hear of her, not only has she teamed up with her former rival Kamui Woods, they are fucking, but maybe more importantly, it's not a big deal. She doesn't make a show out of her team up or her relationship, she just lives happily while dedicating herself to her purpose as a hero. Even when she later on appears to give the kids media training, this impression persists. While some of her more vain aspects do resurface, the overall tone of her lesson is not so much about the financial and popular gain that interviews and media awareness bring with them, but more about giving the public faces and names to put their hopes into. It's about making people feel easy, not about swindling them out of their money. As the scene itself states, all pro heroes have been uplifted at this point by Endeavor, and Mount Lady is no different. She has transformed from a bratty youth who just wants money to someone who just wants to help out and live a fun and happy life while doing it. But the biggest upset to the story and to yourself is definitely the Paranormal Liberation War. This arc presents the most impactful cataclysm the series has seen thus far, and affected a multitude of characters in various strong ways. For Mount Lady, it meant that she had maybe the most spotlight she had gotten since her debut, and comparing the two moments is night and day. While in her debut, she attempted to be this picture-perfect starlet who dazzles her audience, here Yu engages in an ugly, savage brawl against Giganto for the sake of those she must protect. Gone is the camera smile, replaced with teeth so gritted that they crack. The showmanship gives way to desperate self-sacrificing heroism, which leaves her temporarily in a neck brace and permanently scarred, an irrevocable goodbye to the pretty lady playing hero of the past. It is important to not understate how different she is here. The Mount Lady of Chapter 1 would have never volunteered to fight the giant mountain man, but here she does it of her own volition because she knows she's the only person who can do it because of her quirk. And this is so cool because we get to see this character develop in real time in the background without really having to waste much time on any outward characterization. Her actions define her and thus characterize her journey. One final and really clever way the series enforces this change is in the newest arc, the Villain Hunt, where Yu is one of the heroes still operating in the destroyed hero society and part of Deku's backup team. Not only is this where we get to see the effects of the war had on her, both her body and mind, but more importantly, we hear about Death Arms. Death Arms is another hero who appeared in the pilot chapter, but with a very different vibe than Mount Lady. He was the archetypical hero tough guy, someone who saved others and whose only frustrations were that he wasn't strong enough to save as many as he wanted. Not only that, but he, alongside Kamui, is sometimes seen scolding the early Mount Lady for a ruthless chase of fame. And this man remains almost completely unseen until after the war, where it's revealed that he gave up. Unable to cope with the immense pressure of the post-war world, he, panel by panel, deconstructs his costume and walks away, fading into obscurity. This creates a really juicy contrast with Yu. She starts out as a young opportunist, while Death Arms presents himself as a righteous veteran. And yet, 2 years later in-universe, when shit really hits the fan, he, unable to cope, has walked away while she has grown into a capable hero who truly, deeply cares about saving the world she lives in, and thus sacrifices herself again and again, even in the face of enormous adversity. The systems she profited from have completely disappeared, the hero system itself is basically gone, and yet here she is, working hard to save the day. And that is amazing. So, in essence, Mount Lady works as a narrative element of world building, as her story is developed completely in the background and mostly separate from our main characters. This in turn gives the world a sense of dynamism, the idea that it's full of people like her, characters who may not appear much, but nonetheless have full-fledged lives, with their own relationships and ideas and goals, and more importantly, with their own rhythm of change. Writing isn't so much about creating this huge space in which everything happens, but more about creating the illusion of a huge space where everything happens. You don't have to create an entire world, you just have to make me believe that there is one. And dynamic agency like that of Mount Lady is a big part of that. Additionally, she reinforces the themes of heroism in her own minor way, portraying the life of someone fully immersed in the capitalist Hollywoodian hero cycle who breaks free and allows herself to become truly heroic. Hey, thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. This was a bit of a new thing, and I'm gonna see if I keep making more of these, because I just feel people tend to not talk about minor characters that much, which makes sense. So if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments, or like and subscribe and all that, and that'll tell me to keep making these, because I have a couple in the pipeline already. And of course, a big thank you to all our patrons, including Daniel Garcia, Fictionape, Cini, Victor Perez, Cesar Londono, Trader, Ignis, Mr. Meander, and Paracha. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.